Having trouble with your air winch? Well, you're in the right place. Hi, I'm Aaron Orsak with LGH, and today we're going to walk through some of the most common troubleshooting steps for air winches. For this demo, we'll be looking at our Sani MPW50 11,000-pound air winch model. Most of what we'll cover applies to other winches in this size range as well. So even if your unit looks a little different, these tips should help. We'll go step by step through air supply, checking for leaks, proper spooling, and look at accessories that can make all the difference. And just a quick reminder, LGH air winches are designed for material handling only. They are not rated for man riding. Before you start adjusting or troubleshooting, let's make sure the basics are covered. The winch needs to be mounted level and secure. If it's tilted, oil can wind up coming out of the exhaust. Check that you're using the correct wire rope size for the winch you're using. And always keep a minimum of 4 wraps on the drum. Never run it all the way down. Look at your line path. If that first sheave is too close or it's angled incorrectly, you'll see poor spooling and uneven pulls. And finally, make sure the controls move freely and that the band brake is fully disengaged before you operate. Most problems that sound like the winch won't pull simply come down to air supply. Pressure is important, but your flow, your CFM, is just as critical. Aim for the manufacturer's PSI, usually around 95 to 100 PSI at the inlet, and make sure your compressor can deliver about 125% of the required CFM. Check your hoses, size them to the fitting on the winch, and do not change the fitting provided on the winch. If the hoses are too long or they're undersized, the air winch won't get the airflow it needs. Going up a size on the hose, adding a receiver tank, or shortening the run between them can make a huge difference. Moisture is another common issue. Adding an inline dryer like this one close to the winch can help airflow keep clean and dry. And if you're not sure what you're getting at the winch, ask us for a flow meter kit. We can provide one to check CFM under load. If the winch feels weak or isn't responding right, it's time to check for leaks. Run your hands along the fittings and use a bottle with soapy water and inspect for bubbles at couplers and valves. Another thing to watch for is oil mist or oil coming from the muffler. Some mist can be normal. It's not a cause for an alarm. That usually means that the winch was stored or transported out of level. Set it on a level ground, let it settle, and then check the oil level. If the oil looks milky, that's moisture contamination. Drain it and refill it with the correct oil grade as listed in the manual. Let's talk about spooling an air winch. If the rope is piling up on one side or wraps are crossing and crushing, it's usually a fleet angle issue. The fix is simple. Move your first sheave further out or adjust the angle so the rope enters the drum more evenly. When spooling in, keep steady back tension on the line. This helps the rope lay tight and uniform. And remember, always leave at least 4 wraps on the drum. It's not just for neatness, it's a safety requirement. Sometimes the winch is working fine, but it just doesn't seem to have enough pull or it feels too fast. That's where rigging comes in. Using a multi-part line with shiv blocks increases effective capacity and slows the line speed for better control. Just make sure you're using the correct rope and hardware, and once again, we're keeping at least 4 wraps on the drum. Here's a quick mental checklist if your winch isn't performing correctly. Do you have the right air pressure and flow at the winch? Or do you need a receiver tank to ensure proper PSI and CFM? Is moisture causing problems? Do you need a dryer that will provide clean, dry air? Are there leaks of any kind in the fittings? Is the fleet angle correct and is the rope spooling evenly? Is the brake properly disengaged or is it dragging? And finally, is the oil clean or does it need changing? A big part of getting the most out of your air winch comes down to the accessories that you run with it. At LGH, we rent more than just the winch itself. If you're having airflow issues, a receiver tank can aid in providing the proper PSI and CFM to the winch. If moisture is a concern on the job site, an inline dryer can provide clean, dry air. We also provide the right hoses and fittings so you don't lose performance along the line. For jobs with multiple winches, we can provide manifold tanks to distribute air properly. And if you need to confirm airflow at the winch, we've got a flow meter kit available on request. Having the right accessories in place often prevents problems before they start. If you've run through all of these steps and you still can't get it working, that's when it's time to call LGH. We can ship out accessories like dryers, tanks, or hoses, send a flow meter kit to verify CFM, or even swap the winch for a different model if the job calls for it. One last note on basic operation. With the band brake disengaged, ease the control lever forward to pay off the line. Watch the wraps on the drum, make sure they're laying evenly. To haul in, pull the lever back smoothly. Once the load is in position and stopped, then engage the band brake. Avoid running the band brake half engaged. This will only glaze the lining and cause problems. At the end of the day, safe and reliable operation comes down to a few key practices. First, make sure your air supply is set up properly. Right pressure, correct CFM, and clean dry air being supplied to the winch. Second, pay close attention to your rope handling. Good spooling and correct fleet angles are critical for both performance and safety. When these areas are well taken care of, your air winch will deliver the strength and consistency you need on site. For complete details, always follow the manufacturer's operation manual. And if you run into challenges or simply want expert guidance, reach out to LGH. We'll make sure you have the right equipment and support to keep your project moving forward. Need more expert advice or ready to rent? Visit rentlgh.com to learn more. And don't forget, like and subscribe for more helpful content. Happy lifting.